So you have started for 3 years now at Flower Mound, the Jaguars. Talk to me a little bit about that and your experience here with this program so far.
Well, yeah, I've been around this program for a long time, with my brother coming up 3 years. So I've been around this program and around this coaching staff for over 6 years. But playing under Coach Basil has been a delight for sure, to say the least. But, being here for 3 years and, seeing the success that I've had and, how much I've enjoyed myself and how much I've grown and how much I've learned is truly a blessing for sure.
Well, and that kind of leads me to my next question. You already mentioned your brother, Nick, who went through the program as well, played quarterback here and is now at UConn. And you kind of got to see him go through the recruiting process, the same process that you're going through right now. What is the biggest thing that he has taught you, not only as a football player going through this same recruitment process that you did, but maybe as a brother as well?
Yeah, so he's taught me a lot, and I've also learned a lot from my brother's recruitment, and I've applied that to mine. But I've definitely learned what matters most and what you should definitely look for. Look for relationships.
Absolutely.
Because that's the biggest thing. And that's been my biggest takeaway from his recruitment. And that's kind of what I tried to apply to mine. So I try to build a genuine relationship and, get a genuine feel for the coaching staff before I decide to pull a trigger. You know what I mean? So that's what I've been doing.
Talk to me a little bit about what makes you such a special player. Now, obviously, you're pretty versatile on the offensive front there, playing a little bit of tackle, a little bit of guard. Talk to me a little bit about what makes you stand out above the rest.
Yeah, I feel like my athleticism definitely plays a part into how versatile I am. I'm not like 6'8", 6'7" type of offensive lineman where I have to play on the outside because I'm not small or I can't bend well enough to play interior. So, and I wouldn't say I'm too short to play outside either, And when I talk to these coaches, most of these coaches, they see me as a tackle. They see me as a tackle who has the ability to come inside as well because I'm stout enough and I'm strong enough and I'm athletic enough to play in the interior. And same thing with the outside. I'm long enough, like my arms are probably just under 34 inches or 34 flat. My hands are around 10 inches. I pride myself in having, really, really fast feet and being really, really athletic. That kind of just plays to how versatile I am, my athleticism and my length. And also what I'm trying to do is get my knowledge of the game right, because the biggest thing, that's really, really important. The biggest thing that some of these coaches tell me, they'll be like, so whenever these people come in, whenever these recruits come in, they're physically ready. They're physically ready. I was talking to Brad Davis, the LSU offensive line coach, and I was telling him some of my strength numbers, for clean, squat, and bench and all that. And he was like, just with your numbers now, you'd be in the top 25% of the offensive line room right now. So you're physically ready to go in there. It's just the mental aspect. And I think that's what I'm trying to emphasize, especially this offseason. And I think that's going to play a big part in how successful I am early in my career at the next level, for sure.
I need you to look right into that camera and give me your wingspan. Just for a good, yes, I love it. That's awesome. And one last question here about the Jaguars program. What's going to be y'all's biggest strength heading into the 2025 season? We're only a couple months away. It feels like football season just ended, but spring ball starting soon. What's going to be y'all's biggest strength? So
I would say just how our leaders lead. Obviously, last year, our strength was without a doubt our offensive line, but our offensive line is all gone now. My sophomore year, it was 1 sophomore and 4 juniors, and I was the only sophomore. And then this year, it was 1 junior, 4 seniors, and I was the only junior. So now that they're all gone, I feel like it's my duty to kind of step up. And same thing goes for the defensive line. We have 1 returning defensive lineman coming back, and he's taking it upon himself to kind of lead his group, and I'm taking it upon myself to lead my group. And same thing with the linebackers and wide receivers. They're all stepping up.
Switching gears just a little bit, let's talk about your recruitment process. You've got over 40 offers, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
How many exactly in total?
I think it's 40. I think it's either 40 or 41.
Slight flex a little bit there. What has this opportunity meant to you to be able to get to know all of these coaches? I've looked at the list of your offers and they're really, really high up there. Talk to me a little bit about the process itself and what it all has meant to you.
Meeting these coaches has definitely been such a blessing because, all these coaches, I take pieces from. Like just yesterday, I was on a call with Coach Cushing and Coach David Deal from Memphis, Coach Cushing from A&M, and we were doing like a little Zoom film study. We're kind of like just looking at some things that we could clean up in my game. And same thing with Coach Deal. Like I was going over my camp tape because I just had a camp this weekend, UA All-American.
At Melissa,
At Melissa, yeah.
Greg Powers was there.
Yep.
One of the eye catchers from the event.
Yeah, you know, that was like a funny, cool thing about that. That was like my first time competing.
Really?
Well, not my first time competing in a camp setting like that, but in a long time because I'll go to these camps and I'll do all the drills, I'd get all that stuff done, but I wouldn't necessarily go out there and do the one-on-ones because I wanted to stay healthy for the football season. You know, ultimately it's not in pads, not in helmets. I don't want to go into college with any lasting knee, ankle, hip injuries, back injuries. I don't want to go in there like that. So it was basically just me staying like healthy. But you know, like I told some people after the camp, like I know I'm like a 4 and 5 star talent. I don't want to be labeled as like a 3-star on some of these websites. You know what I mean? So I just went out there. I wanted to compete a little bit, and I went against some of the top guys. I went against KJ Ford, who's a really, really good. He's from Duncanville. Really, really good player. One of my close friends. But yeah, no, it was good to go out there and compete. But yeah, this camp season is going to be fun for sure.
Well, speaking of that, it kind of just came to my mind. KJ Ford, you said, is one of your friends. You know, how important is it to have other relationships with not only your teammates, but other guys outside that you might be competing against?
I think it's really, really good. I think it's really, really a cool thing to have because you're going to see some of these guys on Saturdays for sure.
100%.
And you know, my thing was if I can get the blueprint on him now, it's going to be a cakewalk whenever I see him on Saturdays, you know?
Absolutely.
So that was kind of the way I looked at it. But it's fun to go out there and compete, and having these guys, it kind of helps influence like some decisions because you want to practice against the best, you know? Because an interesting recruiting pitch that I got from Coach Fry, who was at Ohio State, who's now at the Cardinals now, he told me, he was like, you come to Ohio State, like you're going to practice against the best. Okay. And whenever like Tuesday practice is the hardest thing of your week, the Saturday game against Oregon is going to be really, really easy. So looking at it like that, it's pretty interesting to think about. And, you know, having a relationship with all these top guys and training with these top guys is definitely going to get you ready for what's to come next for sure.
Well, our very own Greg Powers is a massive, massive Ohio State fan. And he wanted me to ask you what it feels like to be recruited by the top college football program in the entire nation.
It feels good. You know, obviously they won the Natty this year. You know, they had a very, really.
Did you watch it?
I did watch it.
Awesome.
Yep, I was watching it with my brother. They had a really, really good year. You know, and it's such a blessing to be, you know, recruited by, you know, Coach Day and Coach Fry, who's gone now. But, you know, the day that Coach Fry left, I got a call from almost everybody on the offensive staff letting me know that they're going to find somebody good for me. And they did. They found Coach Bowen. So it's really just a blessing for sure to have Ohio State coming after me as hard as they are, you know, because not everybody gets the opportunity. People dream of getting the opportunity. I wake up and I have it. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, and coming off a recent national championship, I mean, that's got to help, right? Now, I saw on your socials today that you have scheduled an official visit to Penn State. And I've talked to Powers about this many times, but I think that Penn State just loves big-bodied offensive linemen from Texas. I mean, that's just kind of their thing. So what made Penn State stand out to you and what made you want to schedule an official visit up there?
Well, I love Coach Troutwine. You know, he's a really, really good guy. He came to the house whenever, you know, it was that time. I just have a really good relationship with him. And I wouldn't say he was one of my first offers, but they were one of my earlier offers that were like pretty major. So I wouldn't say like I feel like I owe him, but I mean, I have a great relationship with him. And I feel like Penn State is going to be a place that I could very well end up. So, you know, going there and figuring out a little bit more about the campus, a little bit more about the program, you know, going around the facility. And I think that's going to be really, really big for sure. And
then Texas A&M, you've also scheduled an official visit for. So kind of the same thing. Talk to me about what makes the Aggies so special. And maybe obviously being an in-state program helps a little bit.
Yeah. So, you know, like you said, being in-state program is pretty appealing. You know, geographical location isn't necessarily like what I'm going to commit to a school for, but I mean, it is kind of cool to think about. I don't need to jump on a plane and go 2.5, 3 hours across the country when I could just drive 3 hours and make it really easy for my family and my grandmother and all that stuff, it makes it pretty appealing. But also, both my parents are alums. You know, they both went there.
That helps a little bit,
some
right?
Some of my aunts and uncles, they both went there as well.
So did you grow up going to Kyle Field?
I did.
At those, I've never, that's on my bucket list, but that atmosphere, that's pretty electric.
It's second to none. Yeah, like I went there for the Notre Dame game this year. I think it was the first game.
Yep, that's right.
It was one of the loudest game experiences I think I've ever had.
Can you imagine like playing in that? You know, not only being a fan, but playing in that atmosphere. How cool would that be?
It would be insane. Like playing in an atmosphere like that, I would find it so hard to hear the clap or hear the snap count or hear the cadence. Like that would be so difficult. But I mean, I would much rather be the home team than the opposing team because hey, they're brutal out there. Like I heard, like right above me, there was people like the fans were cussing out the Notre Dame fans that were right next to them.
Passionate.
They're very, very passionate to say the least. For sure.
Well, and speaking of in-state programs, you also scheduled an official visit just right down the road here to SMU. Talk to me about what makes the Pony so special.
My relationship with Coach Lashley, you know, Coach Foster, Coach Justice, they were one of my first offers.
Okay,
and
awesome.
they've remained a school that has been recruiting me hard. You know, they know what they're talking about, so they're credible. And obviously they went to the 12-team playoffs this year. They had a really, really good year.
Oh, yeah.
And I just love everything about SMU. I love the education. I love the campus. I love the football. I love the new facility. The new facility that just opened is awesome. It's like $100 million or $150 million.
It's beautiful.
It's gorgeous. And I like how convenient everything is in there. Like the weight room is right next to the training room. Training room's right next to the locker room. Locker room's right above the meeting room or right below the meeting room. So it's like all right there. You don't have to go across the facility to go to the equipment room or go to the practice field. So it's all right there.
So it sounds like you got a couple of busy months coming up here a little bit. Any other official visits that you've scheduled so far?
So I think I have LSU in the works right now. We're still trying to figure out the details and stuff, details and the dates and all that stuff, trying to get those all set out. And same thing with Clemson. You know, I'm thinking I'm probably gonna head down there for a spring practice, maybe see how I like it down there, and then because all these campuses, I've been to all these campuses already, but I want to get down to Clemson first to kind of check things out there, and then if I like it enough, we'll do an official visit there. But I'm actually not offered by Clemson just yet because their process is a little bit different.
Right.
So I think when I go down there, I have a good feeling they might offer, I hope, because that'll be a really, really good spot to go to, Clemson. My brother was really, really adamant about me going out to see Clemson. He says that was one thing he wished he had the opportunity to do, or he wished he did. And I'm taking his word for it because he was serious in his tone. Normally, if he's joking, I'll be able to tell, but he sounded very, very serious. And I was like, okay, well, if this is really a spot that you think is worth checking out, I'm gonna go check it out. I'm gonna trust you because you're older, you've been through it. So I'm gonna go see Clemson this spring. And if I like it enough, we're gonna pull the trigger on the official visit.
Well, and you'd be protecting a former Texas high school football player as well, in Cade Klubnik at quarterback there. So those Texas high school football ties.
My brother and Cade are actually really, really good friends.
Well, that's right. Were they in the same class, right?
Same class. And
quarterback class.
They both went to the Elite 11 together.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. But no, they're really, really good friends. And Nick told me, he was like, hey, go see Cade, go see Clemson, see how you like it. And if you like it, pull the trigger and do the OV, and you won't regret it, is what he told me. And he said, if you don't like it, you don't like it. But at least you won't have to commit to a school without, being assured that you wouldn't like another school. You know what I mean? So I'm taking his advice.
So final couple of questions here that I've got for you. So at the end of taking all your official visits, what are some of the most important things that you're going to look for in programs that fit just right for you? Everyone's answer is going to be a little bit different, but what specifically are you going to be looking for to finally pull the trigger and make that decision?
Well, I'm definitely going to be looking at relationships. If I don't have a good relationship with the head coach or with the O-line coach or with the strength coach, or I'm not going to be able to pull it. I wouldn't feel comfortable. I would feel like I'm doing myself a disservice if I don't know the ins and outs of everybody in the building. Because at the end of the day, it's about the people in the building. You can have the nicest facilities in the world, but if you don't have the correct people or the right people in the building, it's not going to be a home. You know what I mean? It's not going to be somewhere that you could go to work every day and enjoy yourself. So relationships are something that I must have. I have to have them.
Well, and you learned that from your brother too, right? You mentioned before that your brother was obviously very keen on relationships too.
Very, yeah.
Well, final question I have for you. When are you thinking about committing? Do you have a certain timeline that you're looking at, or are you kind of just going with the flow and going to take all these official visits and decide from there?
So the plan that me, my dad, and my mom, we all came up with, we're just like, we want to be able to go into my senior season committed already.
Okay.
So, we want to play my senior season committed, not have to worry about coaches, recruiting, and all that stuff. And we just want to be committed and get it out the way. So sometime this summer is ideal. But like after OV season, and the reality is if I'm not ready, I'm not ready.
100%.
Like if I'm not ready.
This is not something you want to rush, right?
Definitely not. I think that goes without saying. Like everybody knows this is not something that you should rush. Take your time, be selfish almost, because this is, your life that you're planning for, what I mean? So you have to do yourself that service. Don't do anything that would jeopardize your future at all. So if I'm not ready, I'm not ready, but ideally I commit in the summer.
Okay. Well, we're super excited to watch you go through this process and really appreciate you taking the time and sitting down with us, and hopefully we can be a part of your special day at some point.
Of course. Yes, thank you.